Happy New Year, folks. It's another year, but the same show, as we're still going here with more on Not Your Mother's Goose. I'm Topher Goggin, and coming up today, we'll head to the cupboard with Old Mother Hubbard, learn about Guy Smiley's new hosting gig, and catch the latest in before and after cinema with the new Disney version of Little Red Robin Hood. Most importantly, though, we're down to the final 2 attractions in our tournament of Disney rides presented by World of Walt. I'll tell you what, it has been interesting. The voters and I are going to have a talk about a few of these decisions. We'll have a full update on the tournament for you in just a little bit, but if you want to vote in the finals, get yourself over to notyourmothersgoose.com right now. Voting is open for a limited time in this final round, and I don't want you to miss it. And who are you going to be choosing between? I'll tell you right after this. Okay, when I said I'll tell you who's in the finals of the Tournament of Rides presented by World of Walt, that wasn't quite right, as we can do even better. I'll come back with another segment later in the show to break down the votes and some of the fan comments, but for now we'll turn it over to a special guest. As you know, the tournament has been presented by World of Walt, a Disney blog featuring news updates and live park videos on Facebook almost every Saturday morning. Herb from World of Walt has been incredible in promoting the tournament, and he's a big part of why we've gotten over 1,000 votes in each of the last 2 rounds. I managed to catch up with him, on site no less, so let's turn it over to Herb and find out which 2 rides have survived to battle it out in the finals. Ladies and gentlemen, we are live here, tucked in a corner at Epcot, with the one and only Herb from World of Walt, the presenting sponsor of the Tournament of Rides, and he is here to tell you your finalists in the Tournament of Rides as we've got the results. Herb, who's going at it for the big title?
Thanks, Topher. It's been fun watching the tournament. Thank you for operating it over all of these many weeks. Lots of twists and turns, but it looks like it's going to come down to Rise of the Resistance versus Haunted Mansion. That's a tough call. I know where my vote's going to go. But, let's see where it happens.
Are you going to tell us where that vote's going to go?
Do you want me to tell you where the vote's going to go?
I think you can tell us.
Okay, I have to say my heart is a little bit torn. So the Haunted Mansion is a classic, right? It's been here since the opening. It's beloved. It's got this crazy backstory in both the development of the attraction itself as well as what the story is the attraction is trying to tell. It's hard to vote against the Haunted Mansion, so I wouldn't say I'm against the Haunted Mansion, but I do have to say I am for Rise of the Resistance. It is my favorite attraction at Walt Disney World. To me, it redefines what themed entertainment can be. It has taken it to a new level. It's got storytelling, it's got details, it's got technology, and it's just a ton of fun. And I appreciate the fact that the former CEO of Disney, Iger, said he wants people to be ambitious in what they do with Rise of the Resistance, and indeed, I think they were. So, you had to do a virtual queue. Yeah, it has a tendency to break down. But for me, I would vote for Rise of the Resistance, and I have and will.
All right, separate question. Who do you think's going to win? The Haunted Mansion fans, I mean, you talk about a string of upsets, taking out the Mine Train, and now taking out previously Disney's most ambitious offering with Flight of Passage. Does it do it again? Or does Rise, the biggest, latest, greatest, which is an impressive piece of technology, get the job done?
I think it's going to come down to nostalgia versus bling. So nostalgia plays a lot when it comes to Disney fans. I know it does for me. But if I were going to make a prediction, and we'll go back and re-record this and change it if it doesn't come out.
Exactly. You're hearing the one where he got it right.
But if I were going to make a prediction, I would say that Rise of Resistance is going to pull it out. I think it has just redefined what can happen. And even though the Haunted Mansion is close to my heart, I still think the Rise is going to make it.
There it is. The man himself is on the record. You'll notice I'm not offering any opinions here, even though I'm the one with the editing software to fix it. Thank you so much for your support of the tournament, Herb. It's been a lot of fun. As we said, both you and I have been surprised by some of these results and some that I think we saw coming. This has just been a lot of fun.
It's been great, Topher. Thanks for putting it together.
All right. Thanks, Herb. Thanks so much to Herb from World of Walt for helping us out. Be sure to check him out online, especially his Pin of the Month Club, where you can get a brand new Disney trading pin shipped to you in the mail once a month. That's at pinofthemonthclub.com. It really is quite entertaining when it's your day that it shows up in the mailbox. Now you know that we are down to Rise of the Resistance against Haunted Mansion. I'll have more about how we got there later in the show, but for now I'll just remind you that to vote, mosey right on over to notyourmothersgoose.com. There's an embedded ballot right there, and you can make your choice. Finals voting is going to be open until January 17th, so you don't have a lot of time. We'll post the results shortly thereafter and formally announce it here on our next show. Who's it going to be? Haunted Mansion? Rise of the Resistance? Choose wisely. Old Mother Hubbard. As you know, there are a lot of fairy tales and nursery rhymes where I tend to offer some constructive criticism. Helpful words of wisdom like, "This is so dumb." Well, today I've got another bone to pick, and this time it is with Old Mother Hubbard. And I accept the mandatory $10 fine for the terrible bone to pick pun. Now, to jog your memory, Old Mother Hubbard went to the cupboard to get her poor dog a bone. But when she got there, the cupboard was bare, and so the poor dog had none. Now, you've already heard me point out that bone and none do not exactly rhyme. If that's what we wanted, Mama Hubbs should have been trying to get her poor dog a bun. But more importantly, this whole story is just really quite depressing. And it turns out there's more. Little did I know, and I bet you didn't either, that Old Mother Hubbard is like Garth Brooks' live version of Friends in Low Places. There's a secret extra verse. And you know what rhymes with verse? Worse. I was actually going to say horse to be in keeping with the Old Mother Hubbard rhyme scheme, but whatever. Listen to where this story goes next. She went to the baker's to buy him some bread. When she came back, the dog was dead. Wasn't that nice? I'm sure Disney will be optioning the rights for this story right away, though they will need one of those new Disney-style one-word adjective names for it, like Brave or Frozen. Coming soon, it's Disney's Empty. Now, if we haven't dug this hole deep enough already, it turns out there is actually a third verse that ties the whole thing together, the terrible rhyming of verse 1 and the questionable subject matter of verse 2. Here, at least according to Wikipedia, is verse 3, and remember, this follows the dog dying. She went to the undertaker's to buy him a coffin. When she came back, the dog was laughing. So now the writers think that coffin rhymes with laughing. I guess people back then had some real pronunciation issues with the wooden teeth and all. I guess this means the dog is alive again, and if so, he certainly has a good sense of humor about this whole thing. At the same time, he probably wants to put the brakes on any more verses and quit while he's ahead. Otherwise, I suspect verse 4 is going to be, she turned on Bob Barker, who made a request, go have your pet neutered, it's all for the good of your dog. It's news time again, and it's a new year, so it's time to reset those countdowns for the top 10 least accurate stories of 2022. Here's some entries that definitely belong on the list. Jack Sprat makes New Year's resolution to eat more fat. Chewbacca caught trying to sell C-3PO to cash for gold. And speaking of large amounts of gold, here's the latest from our construction bureau. Scrooge McDuck latest to acquire London Bridge. Most people know that when someone says, I've got a bridge to sell you, it's time to hold on to your wallet. But that hasn't prevented tycoon Scrooge McDuck from joining the fray, becoming the latest wealthy investor to try his hand at rescuing the crumbling London Bridge. Repair crews have worked on the dilapidated span for years, unsuccessfully experimenting with every material under the sun, but the bridge keeps falling down. After multiple failures, the miserly McDuck most recently tried to build up the falling crossing with a few pins and needles, only to have his engineers then discover that pins and needles actually rust and bend, and therefore are not well suited for buttressing a bridge. McDuck acquired the bridge for a paltry $4.3 million from time-traveling sports bettor Biff Tannen last year. Biff had his own struggles with the overpass, including an effort involving iron bars that fell apart when the bars bent and broke immediately after crews attached the first F of the giant BIFF that Tannen had requested be placed on the bridge's north side. McDuck tweeted yesterday that he sent his engineers back to the drawing board and really hopes they come up with something that works before they get to that verse where he actually has to use gold and silver. We need to take a break to pay some bills. Here's a word from our sponsor.
Hello, folks. It's your old friend Phil here. Sports betting has swept across the nation, but I was starting to get bored, always betting Alabama football and 18 cricket parlays. I wanted something new, but there just wasn't a site where I could bet on Gaston to KO the Beast in the third round. Until today, that is. You've heard of the Robinhood stock trading platform. Now the real Robinhood is getting into the game, launching the first sports betting app for fairy tales, Sure-Win Forest. Give up those regular sites where you bet on the rich and make yourself poor. At Sure-Win Forest, the odds are long and the payouts are huge, because you always want to bet the underdog in a fairy tale. Whether it's the tortoise getting 2.5 minutes against the hare, or Peter Pan at plus 250 over Captain Hook on the money line, Sure-Win Forest has all the wagers you need. And if you could use some help picking a winner, just sign up for Friar Tuck's Lock of the Week, and you'll be cashing in no time. Join today and claim the Little John sign-up bonus, which includes a $50 free bet that Baloo will win Dancing with the Stars. Who needs a genie when you've got Sure-Win Forest? Place those bets and make it big today.
Back here on the news on Not Your Mother's Goose, thanks to Phil for his fine work on Sure-Win Forest. I hope he's off cashing a ticket from the Mad Madam Mim versus Merlin battle in the Sword and the Stone. Talk about one where you could get some great second half betting odds on Merlin. Now back to the news, and sports are in the headlines here too. Popeye disqualified from Olympic trials after testing positive for spinach. Quasimodo contacts Ring to inquire about new automatic bell for Notre Dame. And from the world of game shows, Guy Smiley named host of Celebrity Jeopardy! While the folks over at Jeopardy seem to have stabilized their hosting situation, settling in with Ken Jennings and Mayim Bialik for the rest of the year, one question has remained unanswered. Who will take Alex Trebek's place as host of the show's Celebrity Jeopardy! Specials? That answer came today as Sony Pictures announced that Guy Smiley will return to the airwaves in that role. Interim producer Michael Davies indicated that Jennings and Bialik were considered for the spot, but Smiley was deemed the perfect fit for the celeb version of the game. He said, quote, "Listen, as SNL realized, we're not exactly running a lot of nuclear physics categories here. Ken's the greatest trivia player of all time, and Mayim has a PhD in neuroscience. That's not really the niche we're looking for. But after reviewing Guy's work on The Triangle is Right, we knew he was the guy we wanted quizzing Wolf Blitzer." Smiley returns to TV after an illustrious career, including additional work on Name That Sound, What's My Letter, and Bring That Thing. He's also rumored to be in the running to take over for Pat Sajak on the next season of Celebrity Wheel of Fortune, which is currently on hiatus until showrunners decide how to downsize the alphabet from 26 letters to 5 so celebrities can learn them before taping. Little Red Robin Hood. And poor Robin Hood. He really deserves some royalties out of these movie before and afters we keep doing. Ever since we started ripping off, paying tribute to Jeopardy and Wheel of Fortune, it feels like he's showed up in about half of these things. We had Batman and Robin Hood, A Few Good Men in Tights, and now we're off to Grandma's in Little Red Robin Hood. We will make one rather obvious change here, but still, it's been a prolific run by Robin. So here we go. A young girl in a red cloak heads off on a path through Sherwood Forest on an important trip to visit her grandmother. You see, this girl, Robin, just pulled the hood over her face and stole 50 shillings out of the till at the richest bakery in town, and she's off to deliver the cash to supplement Gran's fixed income. She brings a couple donuts from the bakery along as well. Mid-trip, Robin gets pulled over on a traffic stop by the local sheriff, who looks suspiciously like a talking wolf. As you see, we don't have to change everything from the Disney movie. He lets her go with a warning for the whole bakery robbery thing, but it does seem like he has a lot of questions about where she's headed and all. Robin starts to ponder about this. Now, I haven't decided if we need to actually have the sheriff eat Grandma. That seems a bit Silence of the Lambs-ish in this case. But if it is the Disney sheriff, he would have the appetite to do so. Regardless, by the time the hooded Robin arrives, Gran is nowhere to be seen, and the sheriff is settled into bed with a spiffy bonnet over his hat and badge. Of course, we remember that Robin knows a thing or two about disguises as well, and knocks on the door with some balloons and a giant check that says Publishers Clearinghouse on it. Thinking he's won the jackpot, the bonehead sheriff springs out of bed like Grandpa Joe when Charlie got his golden ticket and races to the door. When he comes outside, he's rudely greeted by Robin's friend John, and this John is no prince, he's a grown and hungry grizzly bear who happens to do an amazing impression of Baloo's voice. The sheriff heads for the hills, hopefully with no grandmas sloshing around in his stomach. Regardless, he'd better hope that he can get Deputy Nutsy on the radio for backup, or he's not going to be around for any direct-to-video sequels. Alrighty, I promised you a Tournament of Rides recap to talk about how we got from the 16 attractions that were still alive as of the last show down to just Haunted Mansion and Rise of the Resistance. Now, the mansion obviously ruled the day at Magic Kingdom, but that was not before Pirates of the Caribbean pulled off the two biggest upsets of the tournament back-to-back. Pirates had already taken out Splash Mountain with 50.4% of the vote last time, but it followed that with another razor-thin victory against Big Thunder Mountain Railroad. That was a 51-49 matchup. That ended the road for Pirates, though, as Mansion got 58% in the finals of Magic Kingdom to wrap up that region. Animal Kingdom went to Avatar Flight of Passage, but only after it fended off the Yeti in Expedition Everest, which got 46% of the vote there. Epcot, meanwhile, was smooth sailing for number 1 Soarin', which took out Remy's Ratatouille Adventure and Test Track in Routes, and Rise of the Resistance bulldozed through both Rock and Roller Coaster and Toy Story Mania to win at Hollywood Studios. That brought us to the semis, and there we opened up the voting for the audience to leave comments on why they voted the way they did. Rise of the Resistance stayed on cruise control against Soarin', winning with just under 60% of the vote, but many of the voters commented that they might have voted differently had it been the old Soarin' over California version, which would be the one where you nearly get drilled by a golf ball somewhere near Palm Springs. Someone also used the comment box just to vent frustration at the earlier rounds, I think, saying, "How the hell did Soarin' get here over other rides? And Rise of the Resistance is great, but Midway Mania was what it beat out? No love for Slinky or Flying the Falcon? Who voted here? Kids under 38 inches or grandparents?" Now, over on the other side of the bracket, we had a study in contrasts, the nostalgia of Haunted Mansion against the incredible tech of Flight of Passage. This one was pretty close, with many of the voters who commented saying they were actually torn by the choice. One called the mansion the last true Disney ride left, and someone on the other side said that they, quote, legit cried after their first Flight of Passage experience. And here too, someone had to complain, noting, quote, "This is outrageous. I have to pick between a ride that I am still afraid of in my 30s and a ride that makes me throw up." Can't please everybody. In the matchup, the Mansion took an early lead and held on to win, getting just over 52% of the vote to move into the finals. And that brings you up to speed, means that we've got Haunted Mansion against Rise of the Resistance for all the marbles. You've got until January 17th to make your voice heard. Go to notyourmothersgoose.com, cast those votes, and then tell us why in the comments if you want. Or just rant about something else in the comments if you want. That's up to you. But thanks so much for voting. This has been so interesting to watch from behind the scenes. I will have the results for you on the next show. It's the Tournament of Rides presented by World of Walt here on Not Your Mother's Goose. Twinkle, twinkle, little sheep. I've talked about this before, but when you meet someone who can't really play the piano, but wants to make you think they play the piano, they go straight to their wheelhouse song, Mary Had a Little Lamb. But I'm telling you, that is actually a mistake. What you really want to do is turn the page of the nursery rhymes music book and get 3 for the price of 1. Learn yourself Twinkle, Twinkle, Little Star, and you get Baa Baa Black Sheep and the ABCs thrown in for free. You'll be a huge hit at parties. There's not a lot to say about the lyrics to Twinkle Twinkle, other than to wish you luck on your astronomy exam if that's your source. But with Baa Baa Black Sheep, there I've got some questions. And mainly I want to know about these bags. Is this like a Ziploc freezer bag worth of wool? Because if so, I kind of doubt that the master, the dame, and that kid down the lane are too excited to add it to their knitting supplies. Personally, I've always envisioned it more like some dude hauling big 30-gallon hefty bags of wool around the neighborhood, but I realized if that's the case, what did this poor sheep look like before it got sheared? It's like we've got a bighorn the size of a buffalo roaming. Now the ABCs, well, they're the ABCs. The main issue there is whether you're going to end it with Z or try to sound sophisticated by using that fancy Canadian pronunciation with Z. More important though, and you can thank me for this later, turns out that the French tune from all of these songs got arranged into variations by your buddy Mozart. So, the next time your snobby neighbor tries to impress you by saying that his favorite piece by Mr. Amadeus is, say, Eine kleine Nachtmusik or the Jupiter Symphony, just remind him that you know some Mozart too, and lay a little A, B, C, D, E, F, G on him. Since we don't want to miss out on any crossover promotions, do remember that these tunes appear in Alice in Wonderland, as the Mad Hatter and or the Schnocker Dormouse take a try at Twinkle Twinkle Little Bat during the Tea Party. And with that in mind, maybe we should just be rolling all of these tunes into one. Twinkle Twinkle Little Sheep, please shut up, not one more peep. All night long you bleat on high, Baba, till I want to cry. Now I've sung about a sheep, and it's time to go to sleep. Thank you. I'll see you at open mic night. With that, we've survived to the conclusion of another episode of Not Your Mother's Goose. Remember to get yourself over to notyourmothersgoose.com and cast that all-important vote in the finals of the Tournament of Disney Rides. Will it be Rise of the Resistance or will it be Haunted Mansion? Get your votes in by January 17th, then come back for our next show as we formally crown a champ and go try to get a Lightning Lane to ride it. Also coming up next time, we'll head to the department store Bear Zone and pick up Corduroy. And we'll have another song from Andrew Mitchell on Rapunzel's Jukebox. I will tell you, I've heard it. Andrew's going way back to tackle a Del Shannon classic, and this time he's added 3 trombones, a kazoo, and 2 tracks of whistling to the vocals. It's pretty darn awesome. In the meantime, thanks to Herb from World of Walt and Phil for the Sherwin Forest ad, I'm Topher Goggin and the Goose is Loose. We'll crown a rides champ next time here on Not Your Mother's Goose.